Hello and welcome to another video by the Bearded Tech Guy. In this video, we will be taking a look at the Dome Z-Wave Plus leak sensor and taking a look at several different use cases for why you would want to have a leak sensor in general in your home. There are two features I really like about this leak sensor over other ones I use in my home. The first is that an alarm is built into the sensor, so that way if water is detected, it will not only send a message to your smart hub, but also creates an audible notification without needing something else added to your smart home. And the second is a remote sensor probe, which will be perfect for my use case in this video. Inside the box, you'll find an instruction manual, the sensor itself, a 4-inch long remote sensor probe, and mounting hardware. The instruction manual includes how to add or exclude the sensor from a smart hub, as well as a few suggestions on how to use the sensor. You do not have to use the sensor with the remote probe if you don't want to, you'll just have to make sure to remove the cradle from around the sensor before using it. For my use case though, I will need to use the remote sensor probe, which simply gets plugged into the side of the cradle with the sensor sitting inside the cradle. This will act almost like an extension cord for the contacts on the bottom of the sensor. I'd also like to mention that this sensor uses a single CR2 battery and is rated for several years of life. The sensor is Z-Wave Plus certified, which means it will work with any Z-Wave Smart Hub, such as Samsung SmartThings, Wink, or Hubitat. To begin pairing with your hub, twist off the top half of the sensor. Next, remove the plastic tab that is between the battery and the sensor. You'll notice the status LED starts flashing red. For my smart hub, you must run through its exclusion process by pushing the contact button 3 times rapidly. Now we can go ahead and connect it to our smart hub. For this video, I will be connecting it to my Samsung SmartThings Hub by going into the app, clicking on the plus sign, clicking on device, and then either by scanning for nearby devices or searching for Dome water leak sensor. Once found, you can name it and save. For SmartThings, the default device handler will be limited in what information is provided. This is fine and the sensor will work with all its features out of the box. But if you want to have extra settings, such as disabling the onboard alarm, changing the alarm duration, changing the interval the alarm will trigger until cleared, or change how often the sensor will report its battery status, you'll need to have a custom device handler that is provided by the makers of the Dome leak sensor. I will include information below on the custom device handler. Because custom device handlers are run on the SmartThings cloud and not locally, it's recommended to install the handler to make any changes you want to the sensor, but then change the handler back to the default SmartThings device handler. Doing so will keep the device running locally, and all changes made will be saved to it. If you ever need to make changes in the future, you're able to change the device handler again. With the leak sensor added into SmartThings, let's test out how it works. With the remote probe attached, a single contact touching liquid will not trigger the sensor to detect moisture. 2 contacts must be touching liquid in order for the sensor to trigger. This is the case for either side of the remote probe. This is actually an expected behavior with this type of leak sensor and any other that are like this. Without the cradle, the sensor has a similar function where 2 contacts must be touched. It does seem that 1 contact must always be touching liquid and then the other one does not matter. And all 3 contacts touching liquid will trigger as well. I would like to point out that the main sensor will still detect a leak even if it's in the cradle. The only issue is the water will have to rise several inches for it to get inside the cradle to trigger the sensor, so I wouldn't rely on that too much. I picked up this sensor primarily because of the remote probe. This allows for me to actually place the water sensor into a bowl of my sump pump, allowing for me to get notification of my sump pump failing a lot sooner compared to having a leak sensor on the outside of the sump pump. If I have just a sensor sitting on top, I could lose out on valuable time that could have been spent preventing a flood from occurring in my basement. I would like to mention that you are not notified if the remote probe or the sensor itself detects water. You're just going to get notified that the sensor as a whole detected water. The remote probe is handy for other situations where it might be difficult to get a normal leak sensor placed, or if taking it out to replace batteries would be very annoying. A few examples could be behind a washer and dryer that's close to a wall, behind a toilet that's in a tight space, or under a sink that seems to always be full of things. You can use this in other locations as well, but with the price being a little more compared to other smaller leak sensors that don't have a remote probe, you may want to consider getting a sensor that fits your needs. Overall, I'm very happy with the dome leak sensor. This was actually my second one after having the first one for over a year without any issues. The first dome leak sensor is actually for my primary sump pump, and I was fortunate enough to discover that I needed a second sump pump this year, so I ended up getting a second dome leak sensor. Even after 1 year, the battery is still going strong, so the multi-year battery life claim could very well hold true. There are other products by Dome as well, such as a smart main water shutoff, which can be tied into your smart home to automatically shut off the water if a leak is detected, which I also have, and has worked well so far for me over the course of several years. With so many different sensors out there, I would love to learn about others, so let me know in the comments below which ones you like the most. And if you have any you think people should stay away from, don't forget to mention them too. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up as it helps out the channel immensely. And if you aren't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel and enable notifications to be one of the first to know when I release new videos just like this one. Thank you for watching.